doing? How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, not bad, man. Just enjoying the weather a little bit.
Oh, you cut out a little bit there. You cut out a little bit.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
All good. All good.
Is that better? Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
that's better. That's
Okay.
better.
Yeah, I'm walking around. The Wi-Fi cut out. So,
Not a problem. It's all good. What did you say? Sorry. How are you doing then? I didn't hear
oh yeah,
you.
yeah, I'm doing well, man. Just enjoying the weather. I'm moving from one house to the next. I bought a house this year, so just in the
Oh,
process of moving.
nice.
But yeah.
Oh, we've been having it snowing over here. Totally
Oh,
different.
is it really
Yeah. Nice
cold?
one.
It was
Oh, it's
cold.
freezing.
Yeah, it was cold 2 or 3 days ago, and it's back to 80. So, it's fucking dude. The weather here is crazy this time of year.
Yeah. You look like you're living life. You do look pretty chilled out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely enjoying a little bit of downtime. I took tonight off from the gym. I got my manager running it, so I'm just gonna be trying to get another truckload moved. But
That's
so,
nice. That's nice. So
but
you so
yeah,
you're not
man.
gonna be you're not gonna be doing any training tonight. Is that a common
No,
thing? I'm guessing that's not a common thing for you.
no. I train usually 6 days a week, so
Yeah.
um, this is the least I've trained in a while, just because I'm moving, But I still train 4 or 5 days a week. But
Yeah. I was expecting it to be an uncommon thing. I don't think I've ever seen you stop posting. I don't think I've ever seen you stop posting.
oh yeah, yeah. I try and back down it once in a while. I was kind of isolate from the internet because it's a fucking
Of
terrible place.
course.
But and I have a guy who makes he used to I had a guy who used to make posts for me, but he moved, so I had to get somebody else, and I've not really found anybody worth a shit yet. So I'm just doing all
Mm.
myself, kind of mixing it up.
That's understandable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I was looking back at obviously for this interview, I was looking back at some of your history and I was looking through some of the old MMA fights. I was looking through I think it was Tribal War Promotions, your first fight against Terrence Moore.
yeah,
Yeah, so I was looking through what gym were you representing back then in your first
that
fight?
was that was WNC Barbell. That was the first gym I trained at, under Johnny Husky and Michael Allen Cornbread. We that was the first gym I bought into. That was how I got into the MMA world from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
Was That's the first gym I bought into. So I was actually talking about that today, in something I was writing. So, but yeah, it's been shit 2007, I think. That's when I
Yeah.
started. So it's been a while.
Yeah, I was looking back. Your first fight in, and it was a round one, wasn't it, by a TKO? What sort of feeling would that be your first professional fight being a first round victory? Like that's got to be something.
Yeah, that was early in my career too. So like at that point, I was still looking at it as a fucking it's like a street fight. We
Yeah,
were training.
yeah, I get you.
It was a fight. It wasn't a sport. Um, and that didn't always translate over real well. But yeah, I looked at it slightly differently back then. But yeah, it was different, a different time too. Like I came straight out of college, no experience. I trained 3 months. I had my first amateur fight. So, um, and you could get away with that. Like that was it. Like straight out of college was a couple months. I was submitting black belts in training because there weren't very many, and the ones who weren't very good. So
Yeah, yeah.
uh, definitely a different fucking world, and especially North Carolina, a different world.
What was it originally? So like, how did you end up in that like obviously training for the Team Husky? How did you end up getting into that? Like, was it a childhood interest, mixed martial arts or
No,
wrestling or?
it was an accident.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I wrestled. So from where I live, everybody's gonna go play football in college, and they're gonna go to the NFL and all that shit. Um,
Yeah.
but like when I graduated high school, I was 5'10" and 195 pounds, like, and not that fast. There's zero fucking, and I played defensive line, which is those guys are 300 fucking pounds. Like there was no
Hmm.
chance. But so I got into wrestling in eighth grade because my dad said it would help me stay in shape for football. And I fell in love with it. It was really interesting. It's one on one. It's a team sport, but it's one on one. which which I liked. And it is a physical chess. It was, I'd say more so than not. It's definitely a faster pace than jiu-jitsu for sure. So it's not quite as, I'm not gonna say it's not as technical, but it's definitely faster paced, and you can make up for technical mistakes with explosiveness and athleticism and just being fucking tough. So I did that. I wrestled middle school through college, and during the summertime, I wrestled with a traveling club team. And Michael Allen was my coach, Cornbread we call him, and this little black dude, he's fucking country as shit. It's hilarious, But he got me into, so we wrestled all summer. I went to college. When I came home, he called me. He said, "Hey man," he goes, "come check out this catch wrestling. It's close enough to wrestling. You'll get something out of it, but it's different enough you won't get burnt out." And we had a couple guys who we sent to Eric Paulson's for a year or two, and they came back at the same time I came back. So we switched over to MMA. And I had my first fight 3 months after I started training, and it was against a boxer. And I took him down and I beat the fucking shit out of him.
Was that the Terrence Moore fight? Was that the?
No, that was, I forget when that was.
Oh, was that before Terrence Moore then? So
yeah, before
okay.
Terrence. So my coach Husky told me, "Do not throw a punch on your feet." Like that's what he told me. Take him down, beat the fuck out of him. And so that's what I did, and I broke his jaw actually. And he didn't tap or stop, but I got a phone call like the Tuesday after, and the promoter said, "Hey, you don't know if this is good news or bad, but your opponent's getting his jaw wired shut." I'm like, "That's cool with me. Fuck it, I don't care."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's how I got into MMA. I went back to college. I wrestled. That was my first fight, I think. Yeah, my college coach flipped out like, "Hey, congratulations on your winning, but please don't do that anymore. You're still a scholarship athlete." So I finished my college career. I had another fight. I got done with my wrestling. I had 1 semester left. I fought one more time while I was in college, and then I fought Terrence right after that.
Yeah,
I believe that's the next fight. So
that was your first record fight, wasn't it? Terrence was your first record fight.
Yeah. I don't know. So I think, because North Carolina had weird MMA rules then. So I don't know what was and wasn't. Like, you'll find some of my fights on record on certain websites, but not others. And
that does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I forget. There's on some of the websites, Terrence was my first pro fight, and other ones are still an amateur fight. Depends on where you look at it. So
yeah, it's put down as a pro fight from what I was considering.
Yeah,
it was definitely a pro fight. I mean. Yeah, when I was looking through it and I saw that your first pro fight was winning the first round, I thought that was a crazy way to to go into the sport in your first professional fight, first round knockout, especially by seeing people. I think people have that stereotype for wrestlers and jiu-jitsu fighters that they will wrestle and you'll win by some sort of submission, but obviously your catch wrestling, you took them down and beat the hell out of them.
I could have probably submitted way more people than I did. But the thing is, because we were way ahead of the curve when it comes to marketing and whatnot. Like, we were the first guys talking shit. We were the first guys doing all of that. And like, one of my good friends, Tyler Minton, he's a UFC nutritionist, works with Daniel Cormier, Khabib, James Krause, guys like that. And he lives he still does. He lives like 45 minutes from me, or an hour. And I'm like, "Hey man, they're offering us this really shitty money to fight, like 500 and 500. I'm like, this fight takes years off of our career. Like, I'm gonna call you a pussy and try and get some more money." And we were cool, we knew what that was, but yeah, we were way ahead of the curve with that. And like, we started this huge rivalry between North Carolina and Georgia, like, just because of that kind of shit. And and my manager at one point was from Georgia. He managed some of the guys I was fighting before I signed with him. So yeah, it was really interesting, and my actual first sanctioned pro fight, I lost by knockout because I'm an idiot. I went straight in on a double. I was beating the fuck out of the guy. I had him against the cage. I just stood up and walked off. And then I don't know why I did that. And I went back to fighting. And then he threw a jab. I slipped it, tried to get underneath it for a takedown. He fucking kneed me in my face. And my coach laughed at me. Well, that was stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, your
So,
coach laughed. That's some harsh
oh,
discipline
yeah.
he's got
Oh,
there.
yeah. No. Yeah. Me and Cornbread have a long history of debauchery and stupidity. The next thing I remember, though, after that is drinking Jaeger in a parking lot, like in a parking garage. So it's probably not good for your brain. That was a crazy fucking night.
That sounds pretty crazy. Yeah, I think I've seen that. I think I've seen that to be honest. You went. I think your last few fights. You were up in Bellator as well, weren't you? 89 and
Yeah.
100.
Yeah. I fought in Bellator. I fought on Valentine's Day. I forget what number that was in Charlotte. And I won that match.
Yeah.
And then I lost in 100. That was a fucked up tournament. Cause so I was supposed to be a tournament alternate and he beat me. It's not like I'm complaining about it, but like it was supposed to be a tournament alternate spot. So you couldn't elbow. Well, that's cool. No big deal. And then you could elbow. Oh, cool. And then you can't elbow. And then there's no more tournament. I'm like, make up your fucking mind.
Mm.
And I just, I let it get to my head too much. But yeah, that was that. And I was starting to think about retiring before I started with Bellator, but with that opportunity, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, man, I can do that. But I was going through at the time, I was going through an ugly lawsuit with my ex-business partner. I lost my gym. So I was training myself at another gym I started, which I run now still. So it made that training fucking difficult. It's really hard to train yourself. And when my coach, Husky, when I fought Ricky Rainey at XFC, he found out that morning his daughter has cystic fibrosis. I think that's what it was, something like that. So I'm like, dude, if you fucking come down here for this fight, I'll kill you. Like, you stay home. So I fought him, and Ricky, I won by knockout. That's my one and only knockout in my career on my feet. So not too bad. He was one of my old teammates. We used to train together, and there's some animosity between my team and his. That beat up all of his teammates. So I just kept that path going. But it's it was an interesting time for me to do that. So when Bellator came along, I'm like, yeah, I'll take that fight. That'd be good. And then because after I won my first fight, they're like, who do you want to fight next? Michael Page. They're like, nope. I'm like, come on. He goes, my guy, I called handler. He goes, they're never going to make that happen, but I'll ask. And it obviously didn't happen. But yeah, so I did that. And I fought my second Bellator fight, and then I lost that one. And I did one more local fight. And it's a guy I should have walked through. I was beating the fuck out of him. I just, I wasn't in it. Like, I was there, but that was it. And he submitted me, and I fucking I watched the video. I picked my head up for him to put the choke in. Like, well, I obviously didn't want to be there anymore. And so I go home and take a week off like normal. I get back on the rower. I start hitting my fucking rowing pace. And I do 1 minute sprint, 3 minutes off. And I'm like 50, 60, maybe 80% effort. I'm like, come on, man, get your shit together. And so I do my next one. I'm about 15 seconds in. I stop. I put the handle back in the row, and I retired right then and there. It was the easiest decision I ever made. But so yeah, that's kind of how I got out of that. But yeah, MMA at that time was fucking weird. It was. I went 18 months without a fight because nobody would fucking fight me. My record was bad. My record was bad because we made bad decisions in the beginning, but I was a huge threat. Like, you don't want to lose to a guy with a record that bad. It looks bad for you. So that was a big issue I had for a while.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying about it being different back then. So you said it was mostly like scraps, like fights, not really. Obviously, as it is today, it's more marketed as like every other sport. But I think back then it was less well renowned compared to what it is now, mainly because of stuff like the UFC being so well established. Yeah. So back then, was it a lot more just scraps, just scrapping, fighting?
I think so. UFC was in 1991, the first one. That's 91, 93, something like that. I think right now I could put my fight shorts on, cup on, and mouthpiece, and go win the first 3, maybe 5 UFCs. Like right now, not training, because the level of fighting has changed so much. Like at this, like fucking Tank Abbott was a legitimate fighter. He wouldn't make it in the fucking prelims now. the game has changed so much, and it's a different sport. There's legitimate athletes in it. Like I train with Walt Harris a pretty good bit. I trained with him last time. I trained with him in September. But like Walt Harris is a fucking insane athlete. Eric Anders like played football at Alabama, won a national title. Like the game is completely fucking different. Before you just had to be tough. It wasn't technical. It was basically barroom brawlers. And that's what we did. I made a mistake of doing it for a living, so I took every fucking fight I could. And that's what I did for a living. And that definitely had some issues. I'm like, hey, will you fight this guy at 205? You should probably fight 170 on a week's notice. I'm like, yeah, sure. I make $800. So, but yeah, it was a different world. And now, honestly, now I think it's fucking in the the lower level is easy if you can find a fucking fight. Nobody wants to fight. Everybody just wants to say they're a fucking fighter.
Yeah.
So I hate MMA. I fucking hate it. Like I've got a Muay Thai team and I've got a jiu-jitsu team. I've got MMA guys, but we don't fight MMA because it's not worth the fucking headache right now. Like
That does make sense. Yeah, I think I have personally. I'm watching over time things. Obviously, I'm too young to see things at the grand scheme, but from what I've looked at, I have seen a massive change in the way it plays out, the way fights play out, the way they talk about it as well. Commentators and the people watching, the way they talk about it has changed from almost watching, say, a fight to watching a sport. It is definitely changed.
yeah, that's a huge thing. Like it was just tough fucking dudes who would win back in the day. Like everybody talk about how great jiu-jitsu is, and I fucking love it. I train, like I said, I train 6 days a week. I was like, but they didn't let legit wrestlers in UFC 1. Like Kurt Angle, who won the Olympics shortly after that, would have taken fucking Hoist and dropped him on his head repeatedly until he died. Like that would have been the nature of sport. And that's gonna piss people off, but it's the fucking truth. Like there's a reason. Like I watch, and this is not knocking them. Like I watched the early UFCs and I fucking laugh. Like you wouldn't make it in a regional show, And then you watch now, you've got like fucking like John Jones type athletes in the UFC. You have Stipe, you have Daniel Cormier is a fucking Olympian. You've got even Sarah McMahon. She's actually from this area. She was a fucking Olympic silver medalist wrestler. And not to knock the women's side of it, but women's MMA is like 1995, maybe 1998. You had Misha Tate, Ronda Rousey, and Holly Holm, the fucking revolving door of championships. And I'm not saying they're not athletes. I'm not saying they're not good, but I'm saying they're fucking 20 years behind the men's sport because there's not as many. It's a much shallower pool. Give it 10 years. Holy shit, man. It's going to be a fucking different world.
Definitely, definitely.
I'm sure all the feminists will love that, but it's the fucking truth. Give a shit. They're 20 years behind, if not more. It's a smaller pool. It's like being the best guy in your local district or county, or the best guy in the city. There's just not that many people to pull from. But you're going to start seeing it. Women's wrestling in the United States is fucking blowing up. You're going to see like Gracie Gundam, 10th Planet Bethlehem. Started out in jiu-jitsu. She's like a 18-year-old black belt. And she took third in Fargo, which is like the toughest tournament in the country for high school kids. Like when I went to Fargo, my teammates or guys who I wrestled with, they're on the fucking world team on the Olympic ladder. Like that's the level. So she won that with a year's wrestling experience. So you're going to start seeing that, if she decides to get into MMA, she's going to fuck people up, but It's just the depth's not there yet.
The thing I was going to ask as well was, so you were talking about like the champ. You reminded me by talking about tournaments. So I think it was 2020. You won won those 3 fights in the Endo tournament, right? The Endo Jiu-Jitsu Athletics. So that was pretty recent. I remember seeing your posts of it as well. That was pretty recent. Are you intending on grabbing some more wins in the future in bigger tournaments?
I've got 2 matches set up now Because of COVID, I've not been competing as much because they keep canceling tournaments. And when I go, like we'll bring 15, 17 guys to a tournament, and I just don't have the fucking time to compete and coach. So I've been doing more super fights. So I've got one May 30th, I think, and then another one June 12th in Texas. So I'm gonna be doing those, but yeah, I'm gonna compete a lot this year, or a lot as much as I can. I do local tournaments, so I love grappling industries. That's probably my favorite tournament. They're all round robin. So you're gonna get matches, but yeah, I definitely gonna go back to competing. So I'm looking to, I just got married this a couple weeks ago, bought a house, and then I'm going to, we're planning on having a family and shit. So I want to start getting some competitions in while I can.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. That's a fucking crazy week. Bought a house on the 19th, got married on the 20th in the house. Fuck, dude. It was just a constant battle. But yeah, so appreciate it, man. But yeah, so that's just kind of what we're doing. And, I've got a buddy of mine moving out from California to move out here. He's a 10 planet brown belt as well. He's gonna help coach at my gym, and then we're gonna open another gym 45 minutes from my gym where we live. So it's gonna be just fucking wide open. So we're gonna compete as much as we can till then. I'm gonna stop being so fat so I can compete, not at ultra heavy. I think if everything goes as planned, I'm gonna do IBJJF Masters Gi Worlds.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put a gi on until the day of the competition. I'm not gonna fucking train in it. Like that's my whole point. I don't think you need to. So if I lose,
Do you not think
oh
they're
well.
the same? Do you think they're the same sort of technique then, no gi and gi?
Exactly. All the same. I think, and this pissed everybody off, I think fucking no gi is more technical than gi
I personally
because
agree with that too as well. I personally
because I
agree
can
with that
grab
too.
you, I can grab you right here and control you in a gi. Try that
Mm.
bullshit fucking no gi. You have to be technical. Yes, you can be more athletic, but like coming from a wrestling background, if your underhook is not good, your underhook's not really anything. So I think there's less techniques in no gi, but I think it's way more fucking technical in no gi. But yes, there is athleticism. Yes, there's speed, but the technique is gonna fucking win it for sure. So, but yeah, and I played the exact same game, whether it's gi, no gi, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever the fucking rules are, I play the exact same game. So it doesn't make a big difference to me. I actually
So,
like it. I just don't train. I refuse to train it. It's fucking hot and it hurts my fingers.
I mean, I've seen your was it supernatural survival gear for tie-dye multicolored rash guards.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know why you'd want to change into a gi when you got those.
So he made a camouflage gi too. So I was like, God damn it. I own more gis than anybody I know who doesn't train in the gi. I bet you I've
I
got
mean,
8 or 9.
I was looking in your posts and you have like, so every post is a different gi and sometimes they look the same. I remember there was a black and white one, but then I realized they weren't the same because one was black sleeves and one was white sleeves.
Yeah, I just have all kinds of shit. I'm like, and Kent Peters, owns Supernatural Five. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm like, I just buy his shit. Like he was one of the first guys to help me out. Like the rash guard I wore for Gracie Worlds in 2017, he made it for me. Like he hey, yeah, we can do it. I'll do it at my cost. It's going to be expensive as shit, but I'll do it for you. And we've been friends ever since before that. But he's done custom gear for my gym. I was the first gym he did custom gear for. I was like, hey, you should do a tie-dye wrestling singlet. So I think he makes things that I ask for because he knows I'll buy them. And he may just only order mine in my size, but because yeah, it's one. But yeah, so like I'm a huge fan of what he does, and just his stuff. So yeah, he put new shit out. I'm like, fuck, I gotta buy that too. God damn it.
Yeah, I have been following Ken for quite a while too. I'll probably put his little at in this when I upload it. But yeah, I've been following some of his stuff. I think he started super. It wasn't that long ago Supernatural came out, I don't think. But I'm
No,
guessing you buy
that was
all of the stock when it comes.
yeah. Oh yeah. Like, and he's super cool. Like, I like his business model. Like, hey, we're out of stock. Just request it. I'll put it in my next order. Make sure it comes in. So and he'll hit me up. Hey man, I'm getting low on this. You gonna order it? I'm like, yeah, just here. Send me the link. I'll buy it now. Because he's in Canada, so it takes a little longer to get here and shipping a little more. So I like to buy a bunch of shit. But if you look at my gym, man, I think like half the shit, if it's not ours or it's that cheap ass Sanibel from Amazon, it's fucking Supernatural Survivor gear. So it's one of my favorite rash guards, like just the material and stuff. So I wear the fuck out of it. And he made Valley Tudo shorts for my gym. I'm like, hey, can you make them shorter? Thank you. So
Yeah. So, something I've been talking to a lot of people about is obviously martial arts or combat sports as a general are usually seen as quite violent things. So people who don't know about combat sports aren't usually too willing to get into combat sports unless they know about it previously. You know, like say boxing, people see it as fighting, wrestling, they see it as just brawling. So what would you say to people that think that way, and what would you say it would do to benefit them in a athletic fitness way, even if it is to get into it and get over that fear of the whole fighting as just like a bar fight sort of
yeah.
yeah.
So when because I own my gym, Road Combat Club. When I advertise, I almost never talk about what we're doing. I don't talk about fucking anacondas and darces and fucking heel hooks and shit. I talk about the community. I talk about the workout. I talk about, the benefits. I don't even talk about self-defense. I fucking hate self-defense. Self-defense is bullshit. If anybody wants to know, like, my expert opinion on self-defense here's the three things you need. One, fucking Nikes, run, get away. Two, a gun. You guys can't have one, sucks for you guys, get a stick. All right. And three, wrestling. Because I taught a seminar at a gym and it was kind of self-defense based, but it was pretty neat. And you hear, well, 90% of fights go to the ground. No, maybe a third of the fights go to the ground. But out of a third of the fights that go to the ground, 96 or 98% of those, the person who initiated and completed the takedown wins the fight. So when it comes to a hierarchy of self-defense, it's run, shoot, wrestle. So I never talk about, because fear is a short-term emotion. Like, I can't believe this whole fucking pandemic thing has gone as long as it has, because it's whether you pro-mask, anti-mask, fucking pro-science, anti-science, we don't fucking know. It was based on fear, the control thing was, and people are like, oh, fuck it. We can't stay scared for 18 months. So I don't push fear ever in my gym because it's a short-term emotion. What I do push is when you're coming to do these things, that it's a fucking sport. It's a workout. And more important, it's a community. And that's all I push in my gym is the community aspect of it. And I tell my guys, I don't give a fuck if you get good at jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai when you're here. You absolutely will, because of the way we train. I was like, but I want you to be a better person. If you come in at 6:30, when you leave at 7:30, I want you to be a better person than that. That's what I'm pushing for. And, I've had people completely hesitant to join or even come in, but when they do, like, oh my God, I can't believe I waited so long. Because I think the biggest thing people misunderstand is that, they watch the UFC and they think they come in and we just UFC the fuck out of each other the entire time.
Yeah.
And, you can't. That's what we did when I trained. And that's why we had so few fucking people and we have so many injuries and just fucking brain damage probably. But that's not what we do. It's a very controlled environment. And it's completely different than what most people think. But I tell everybody when they come in is, I'm like, you've already done what most people won't. Like, you've stepped in the front door. One guy he didn't believe me. I was like, look, so I'm like, we have 2,800 contacts in here. I was like, at the time we have 150 members. I was like, think about that. Most of these, and I can filter with the software I have. I can filter who came in and who didn't. I'm like, look how many people didn't come in. I was like, you're the fucking man. Like, you did something that most aren't willing to do. And so that's the biggest thing is, and go with a friend. Like, that makes it more comfortable. Even if, neither of you have ever trained, that's the biggest thing. Like, 'cause you'll be more comfortable, So I think that's the biggest thing is it's not the UFC. You're not going to try and fight. Like, if you're brand new and you come into my gym, you're not fucking, if you're doing Muay Thai, you're not sparring for probably fucking 18 months. And live, I mean, you'll do some drills, but like, you won't get hit for probably the first 6 months. And if you do get hit, it's because you fucked up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the big misconception. I think that's the biggest misconception what it is, you know.
Yeah, that's why I thought I'd bring it up because I've been trying to find out perspectives on that from people who are obviously elite in the actual sports themselves.
Yeah, yeah, and it's I had, I come from a wrestling background, like a high level wrestling background, and it was really difficult for me to go from Division I wrestling with all Americans and Olympic hopefuls to like local high school, middle school wrestling, and then coaching like your soccer mom type people, your everyday athletes. So it took me a while to adapt, and there's plenty of guys out there, um, who are ex athletes who do want to train hard and all that shit. But as we get older, that's not sustainable, So, I realized that, in 2013, I was still fighting. I was still fucking crazy. Um, I realized that you just can't fucking hammer everything. So I started modifying things. I started having a beginner's class. I started having a fitness class. I started having these different classes. And I realized, what, I'm like, this martial arts thing's for everybody. I was like, now, how I do it may not be for everybody, but I can do things other ways and still deliver the same benefits that I'm promising. It's just not going to be the same way I do it. So I think, man, I think that martial arts, not fucking Krav Maga and karate and bullshit. It's adult daycares, but like actual martial arts, jujitsu, kickboxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, MMA to some extent. I think that is one of the most underutilized assets we have in this country.
Yeah.
And I don't even give a fuck if you're good at it. Just having that constant physical and mental challenge and every day or a couple days a week makes life completely different. You
Discipline
should
of it,
see the
yeah.
fucking messages I got during COVID. Like, hey man, I don't think I'd be alive right now if it wasn't for your gym. Hey man, I really appreciate you helped me get through this divorce. Hey man, I made some stupid fucking decisions last week. Is the gym open yet? These are things that we get, and the gyms. Like I said, I don't give a fuck if you go to jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai. You will, because how we train. But you're going to be a better person because you're constantly surrounded by better fucking people who are chasing the same kind of result you are, to improve themselves, to stay in shape, to maybe to lose weight. But the big thing is the mental stress relief. When I travel, if I don't train for 4 or 5 days, I'm a fucking asshole. So that's luckily when I travel, I train. So, it's I think that's the biggest thing is people don't realize what martial arts is. It's not a fight, it's a community. It's fucking CrossFit. It's CrossFit that's useful
Yeah,
with less
CrossFit is
shoulder
useful.
injuries.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to see it. That's a good way to see it. I feel like a lot of people need to hear that as well. I feel like also combat sport is one of the best ways to get yourself in an athletic state, and people don't seem to understand that as of yet. But I feel like it's becoming more known. I feel like it's becoming a more known thing.
Yeah, the average person gained 2 pounds during COVID, I think. Like that was, I'm like, motherfucker, I know it's way more than that, especially in this fat
Yeah,
ass country. So
yeah. I mean,
I
yeah.
yeah,
We
I
will
think the mental thing, realistically, how much better you feel after a hard training session.
definitely. I do. I agree with that. So a final thing I'm going to ask, which is the golden question. What is your go-to? What is your favorite submission of all time? Favorite technique to do? Your favorite after all your experience, all of your obviously 10th Planet Brown Belt, your Division 1 wrestling, everything. What is your optimal, your favorite technique to go to?
It's still Kimura or double
Is
wrist
it
lock.
still?
Yep. That is because it's so versatile and so brutal. And I think I've hit that more than anything. My new favorite, and just because of how effective it is and how dominant it is, my new favorite right now is this. It's just three-part series. It's the Anaconda Darce and Mounted Guillotine series. I've been fucking killing people with it. Like I've hit really good people with my Mounted Guillotine, and I'm like, huh, I'm gonna come back to that. So that's what I'm teaching this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can break your arm like fucking Sakuraba snapped Gracie's. I forget which one. He snapped his fucking arm, and he didn't tap. But I don't give a shit how tough you are. You're gonna get choked unconscious. So I've been really pushing a choke game, a lot in the gym, and just because I don't care how tough you are. Brian, the guy that runs my gym, my manager is one of my BJJ coaches. Dude, he fucking straight blew a dude's shit out. Popped his ankle, popped his knee. The guy never tapped. I'm like, fucking choke him, you know. So, yeah, but yeah, still to this day, Kimura is my go to. Yeah, I hit when I won Worlds. I think I hit fucking 3 of them. So I had 5 submissions.
I think I can see why Kimuras are your favorite. They are even to watch. They are scary submissions.
Now, I don't step over your head. I run you over. Like I'd fucking blowing your shit out. I have no intention of stepping over your head and trying to lift, put my balls in your face. I'm just
Yeah,
straight run.
do whatever works. Do whatever works.
Absolutely. So
But yeah, that is all my questions really. I've ran out there.
awesome.
But it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, man, for sure. Let me know when you get everything squared away and get it up, and
I
I'll
will
share
do.
it.
I will tag you in the post as well when I've edited it up, and I'll probably put it onto my feed and tag you in it, and I'll tag Supernatural as well.
Yeah, cool, awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, man. Let me know if you need anything else. Look forward to doing it again.
Thank you, thank you. Sometime soon, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. All right, later, man.